A very good morning to one and all present here. I hope you're all doing good. I am Gayatri S. Iyer, your host for this session. A warm welcome to all of you to the first track for today, which is about the building blocks of our world, civil engineering. Before we move on with our session, I'd like to introduce you all to our moderator for this session, Mr. Sunil Benipuri. He did his graduation and master's in science from Punjab University in Chandigarh, after which he did his MBA from Jodhpur University. He worked in the corporate sector for about 4 years and then moved on to start his own company that specializes in interior fit outs. His projects were vastly in the commercial segment that included retail, healthcare, hospitality, education, malls, and multiplexes, and were spread across the country. Mr. Benipuri has over 30 years of experience in the building industry. He also worked in a multicultural environment and he handled a lot of teams of designers and engineers. And on behalf of my entire teammates and the audience, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Sunil Benipuri. Welcome, sir. I'd also like to take this opportunity to introduce you all to the panelists for this session. As well as Mr. Ankur Jadhav, Project Head, L&T Realty, who's a civil engineer from Pune. Up next, we have Dr. Sushil Kumar Singh, who's an associate professor in Galgatia University, and he has a lot of experience teaching students and building the future of civil engineers. Up next, we have Nivedita Setu Madhavan, graduate engineer who did her engineering from GEC Thrissur and her master's in NIT Surathkal, and now presently working in WS Atkins in the project wastewater modeling. And finally, we have Saurabha Shetty, final year student from KVG College of Engineering. We welcome you all to today's session. Over to you, sir. I can't wait to listen to the insights all of you have to offer.
Morning, everybody. People who are on the panel and people who are watching this live. This is a great initiative by EDC for Youth Career Connect because it's the need of the day, especially in these very trying circumstances that we have across the world. And this is primarily meant to answer questions for youngsters who are actually studying no matter what subject, but today we will be talking primarily in the construction civil engineering sector. And also people who have just started the career where they want to know what the future is going to be. So I'll start with Saurabha. I'll put a small question to you.
Yes, sir.
And then I will take answers and views from the other people. You being the youngest and ladies first. So you have a very small question from me.
Yeah.
When you joined civil engineering,
Yes.
what was the reason that you joined civil engineering and not any other stream? And what is the expectation that you have from this field?
Okay. Civil engineering was a subject of my interest from the beginning.
Okay.
So I was inclined towards designs and everything when I was doing my 12th and 11th. So engineering was actually not in my mind, but when I had to choose engineering, civil was the one choice for me. So I took up civil engineering and I got really interested in it, but I was more inclined towards designs still. So with the designs, softwares and other subject that had designs like architecture designing, 3D designing and all that, I was really fond of such things. And along the way, I learned that, interior designing can also, architecture and interior designing are very good, branches of civil engineering. Could take as one of the after engineering you can take it up. I wasn't much career oriented actually. I wanted to study further after 4 years of completing engineering, and like the common notion what civil engineers have is mostly when companies come for placements, it is they come looking for they're mostly IT based, and they come looking for computer science students. So most civil engineers are left with options like either they have to go to the core companies and do walk-ins, or they have to study further, or they have to change the stream completely. But I stick to studying further. But civil has always been a subject of my interest, because you don't get to do just one job. There are multiple jobs that you can the spread out to. You can do so many other things like architecture, structural, environmental engineering. There's so many other branches in civil. So that's one of the advantage in civil engineering.
Okay. Nivedita, now my question to you is, and it's on the same line. I mean, what I'm talking to, what I asked Saurabha, it's in the same line of thought. You finished your BTech, you then did your MTech, and you joined a company, Atkins, as a design engineer. Now, having worked 1 year, what are the expectations that you have from this industry?
Yeah. So, like from my experience, somewhat on the similar notes as what Saurabha has said, I was interested more into mathematics, which is why I wanted engineering to be my career choice. That was decided. And then further moving on, I found civil engineering better. Like in my choice of interest, my subjects of interest were more into civil engineering. That's how I got into civil engineering. And yeah, the subjects that I've learned, structures, design, environmental engineering, all those were my passionate subjects also. So once I graduated, I wanted to know more about the subject and what is actually happening, and to have a more recognition in the industry also. I went for my master's, which is environmental engineering. So I did it from NITK Surathkal. So after I completed my graduation and post-graduation, I got placed in Atkins. So
what
I feel,
future do you see for yourself?
yeah. So I feel like after I've entered the industry, you never know how big the industry is till you are as a student. Only once you enter the industry is when you know, okay, there are so many things which I didn't even think about as when I was a student or even after my post-graduation. So like there are a lot of openings for your professional growth. You have various professional bodies which will be helping you, which helps you to raise in a professional industry in a good way. And there are different innovations happening in the industry, like especially in wastewater modeling, which I am dealing with. There are a lot of, so we are mainly based with the works in Northern Ireland in the UK. So about all the modeling aspects and all. So I found it very interesting. Like over the past 1 year, I found it, yes, this is my right career choice, and I've had a good experience of it.
You do see a future.
Yes, I do.
And a bright one at that.
Yes.
Okay. I will move on to Ankurji, who has hardcore industry experience. My question to you is, what is the future, the true future of civil engineering, especially in these times? And we know that normalcy will take a lot of time to come. What future do you see, sir? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. As we know, there is a term called a new normalcy in the work today, and people and overall construction industry as a whole, we are trying to come up and surpass this COVID era. Now the overall, if all over India, if you see, the constructions has begun in a full swing. In a pockets of certain part of the country, there are still sort of restrictions, but as I can see right now, almost 70 to 80% of the entire construction has begun. The supply chain, everything has been in place now. Yes, there is a changes which has happened overall in in an industry where in a construction, as you see on a construction side, there was a less importance was given to the hygienic part of the people, the workers who were working at the site. Now that has become an important part. Secondly, a right people induction onto the project site with all these screening norms and all the criteria which you have to be fielding for any construction people to move in from or migrating from the different part of the states. So the change in what in today's construction has happened. Yes, there is a process called screening, which was only limited to the A grade contractor in India, that has gone and percolated to B grade and C grade contractors, wherein initial level screening of all the laborers or the staffs is happening before they enter the project site, and at the execution site. You have now all the people wearing masks and everything. So this is what is happening on the construction side. So the new normal, what needs to be done has been adopted by the people. People are working and moving ahead with the new normalcy now. Coming back to the future of the construction industry, yes, there is a hit which COVID has given commercially to the real estate industry. As I can see, there is a drop in the sales of the residential and the commercial, which has been mainly taken care by the US-based client, which generally occupies the offices across the India in metro cities. That has a big hit. But yes, industry is going to...
Infrastructure?
Yeah, infrastructure
industry is the
infrastructure. The infrastructure industry has already got into the has already started, and they were the one who has started earlier, because these projects are specially located in the remote part of the country. And though at L&T, you see all our infrastructure project has started from May onward. After 1.5 months of the lockdown, the projects have started. Okay. Now the effect of the COVID is definitely going to see in Q2 and Q3, but by year from 2021 or Q4, we expect the things to become normalized and the industry to move on as it was. It will take a time for a year or so, but yes, everybody is positive about, and industry will definitely come back to the new normalcy.
Thank you so much. I go to Dr. Sushil. With the academician's perspective, what is the future of civil engineering? We've taken the industry opinion. We now want to know from the academic point of view.
Earlier, the institution was thinking that they will not get admissions actually in teaching. Reason was that there was a fear in people that people not come to NCR, like suppose I am in this NCR region, people will not join. But now I am finding the students are taking admissions online. Okay. They are approaching online. Definitely they are approaching offline lesser number, but they are approaching online actually. They are taking admissions, and I have heard in our university and other institutions also, the feedback I have, for particularly for CS, suppose they have in private university, they have some management quota, because they can't take admission without a proper competition. Right. They need to go through the competition. Suppose the IIT JEE or IIEEE competition is yet to be held in future in September or October actually. That will take place. The UGC will take decision on that. Right. So they are waiting for that. And suppose they have some 25% management quota. So in CS, it has already been occupied by the students.
Okay. That's
but in teaching industry, like suppose we have online classes, I would like to tell for IT, particularly for IT industry, we already have in mind that it works online already. Right. Right. Because this work culture comes from US, UK, and other countries, from foreign countries. But in India, in teaching, even the students' parents also think that what will happen in online classes. They have that in their mind actually.
Right.
They have that in their mind, and even educational institutions owner also thinks in the same. That will happen actually.
Right.
But I will tell you my experience that online teaching is more difficult compared to the offline, because I have a both experience.
Right.
Before COVID-19 situation, we were teaching offline.
Right.
So definitely we are at home during the COVID-19 situation, but
Right.
online teaching is more difficult. It is students are at home. They are also have a locked at their home. So definitely their psychological thinking is also changing. They are also frustrated at their home basically.
Right. I will
So,
now, thank you, sir.
okay.
There are a set of questions and
Yeah.
I need to run through because we have limited time. I go back to Ankurji. What are the skills that is going to drive innovation in the construction industry? What are the skills going forward?
So the innovation is the key right now.
Right.
There is because of this COVID situation, and as such, the industry is going through and turnaround. Now, a new construction technology and research has to happen, and there is a part of the things which is happening now. A steel construction or a precast construction, which used to have a limited use, has to happen now in a full-fledged way. Now we have a steel building which is currently
prevalent now.
L&T's. Yeah, it's quite prevalent now because we have to decrease our dependency on the skilled labor. Getting the skilled manpower is the challenge now. So anything, whatever we do into the robotics or the automation or the mechanization of the construction sites, that's going to be helpful. Now, from the skill development point of view, maybe something we need to add up into the curriculum part, because what we generally see,
Sorry,
upskilling
and reskilling also.
Yeah, reskilling, because what we see, the curriculum part, there is a bit of less focus on the practical knowledge part of the construction industry. When we have all new whatever the construction happening, everybody is going for the automation part of it. All the construction which is happening now are targeting to have the less dependency on the labor. So skill upgradation part is very, very important from the engineering student point of view. So they have to increase your soft skill part where they have to work on to, and in the practical exposure of whatever you say, an internship of 4 months or 6 months has to be part of the curriculum. Some institutes or some industry it does have, institute does have, but some of the institute still doesn't have that internship part, and that has to be a mandatory part in the curriculum, which will help the student to get exposed to the construction environment. That's what because there is a lot of difference in other industry, IT or manufacturing compared to the construction. Construction, the curriculum has something else, and that at the project site you do have to do a lot of different things. So that soft skill is very, very important.
Thank you, sir. Nivedita, I wanted to ask you a question based on that little interaction that we had yesterday. What are the softwares that you learn to upskill? Python, R, do you use Revit, BIM?
Yeah, so with respect to the field that I am working, which is modeling, so we are more into like creating more innovations in technology, innovative techniques. So we are using coding languages like Python, R, which makes all these some of the repetitive works easier. So that has a major, that's something which is majorly happening in the field that I have been in the team that I am working with.
Machine learning.
So, yes,
Things,
yeah, and then
intelligence.
yes, exactly. And more of Python language and R language are like people who have known those are very much there is, yeah, they are more sought after in the industry. So I think that definitely is a good thing. And also in terms of other skills that you acquire through short-term courses, like you have the KPMG Green Belt certifications and like that.
Yeah.
So which can be attained from the college itself. You have courses like in the college where I was studying, I had a course, a week's course for that. If you attend that, those are added skills that you can attain in a short period of time, which will definitely make you stand out when you go for the interview,
Great.
things like that.
Great. Saurabha,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can.
Yeah. So you've just seen what your senior said,
Yeah.
right? And yesterday we actually discussed around the subject that what are the other things that you need to do. And Nivedita has nailed it on the head by saying, these are the minimum requirements that you should have now.
Yeah.
It's no more that you have a BTech degree and you can walk in somewhere. You might walk into a very
Right.
small firm, but larger firms who have great expectations from their candidates need all these skills which Nivedita has said. Dr.
Right.
Sushil, what else would you like to add for upskilling of the youth?
Actually, for just actually, I was want to talk during when Ankur sir was speaking. I want to point out something actually regarding that summer training part. Actually,
Yeah.
it is there in the curriculum, but problem is that when students are going for summer training during after third year, but students are not that much serious actually.
Yeah,
So that
it's a picnic
summer
time.
training should be monitored more carefully actually.
Right.
I mean, you can ask this also thing that's Nivedita. Nivedita can also answer this thing. Students are not that much serious during that summer training.
I agree.
Actually,
I
suppose
agree.
they have a 2 months training, that means they are not going at the field during that training. If they will go
Yeah.
field, but when you will go for a training during your field training, then you will learn a lot because
Right.
bookish knowledge is
Correct.
very much different from the field.
Correct.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So adding on to what Dr. Sushil Kumar has said, so I would say like as a student, maybe yes, some students may not be like taking it seriously, but definitely if there is an evaluation within the campus in terms of a presentation or seminar on what has happened, what have you learned from the industry, I'm sure majority of the students would definitely take it more seriously.
So
Okay,
Yeah,
definitely. No, that should be done more seriously actually. Reason is that,
yes.
as sir said, it requires. That means it is lacking in the industry,
correct.
right?
Yes, it
It
is.
is lacking.
Yes.
That's why sir has raised this question.
And that is the reason also when industry says that the graduates coming out of their colleges are not employable. There's a huge gap in skill. They don't take onus, they don't take responsibility. So if they have to move forward and become employable, they will have to do whatever Dr. Sushil and Mr. Ankur was saying.
Actually, suppose in the industry, like in real estate, we don't have much jobs. You can see in today's time, but in the infrastructure, we have a lot of jobs
Right.
at the same time. And India is going to focus more and more on infrastructure, like China.
Yeah.
China is developed region only is they have focused more on infrastructure. You can see their roads, their bridges, and everything. You can say they are lot infrastructure. When you will go to China, then you will find a major difference between India and China.
Right.
Okay, so so if India will focus more on infrastructure part, like the government or public-private partnership happening today in every project, you can see public-private partnership. All the roads are made through public-private partnership. They will focus more. Then more and more jobs will come in infrastructure.
Right.
But in real estate, definitely nowadays there is a problem. There is stagnation nowadays.
Right. I will go to Saurabha now. You just finished your internship, which you said was only for a month.
Yeah.
How confident do you feel, especially after hearing Ankurji and Dr. Sushil? that internship should be at least for 4 to 6 months intensive. And
Yeah,
if you don't take it seriously, it's you take your 2 credits and that's it.
yeah, about that. When we first started internship, we were not confident at all, because it's like a preview for what we do after engineering, after we graduate. So we were what we had learned in the previous 3 years was highly insufficient for what we had to do over there. So I think what I feel is we should have more practical exposure. And for industrial skills has to be trained prior to the jobs and everything. While studying, we should be trained about the industrial skills and also the practicals. So the 3 years, they restrict all the practical labs and everything for 3 years, which is really insufficient. So I think 1 month was not sufficient at all for us.
Right.
So that has to be extended. And yeah, about
How much should it be in your mind?
yeah, 4 months might be sufficient. So it has to be efficient. What we're learning should be efficient. Like you said, nobody takes it seriously at the beginning, but there are students who want to learn it, seriously. So 4 months, I think it is sufficient.
Okay.
I would like to say something actually.
So please.
Yeah, actually regarding this training, actually in India, basically, I have seen this in all institutions. Actually, there is a gap between the what we are teaching and what industry is doing. There is a gap. Even a topper of the class when go to a civil engineering, suppose civil engineering goes into the field, then he's a blank on the day one. Why? That is a mismatch between the industry and the educational institutions we are teaching. So the gap should be filled actually in the education, basically, I will say.
This would not come from the students. It has to come
Yeah,
from
no.
the industry and
Yeah,
from the academy.
academics. Definitely, I am
The
pointing
industry
out
has
that.
to say,
Not,
this
I am
is
not
my
talking about
requirement.
that. This should.
Right. Because doing calculus is not useful on the field.
Yes, exactly.
You do higher calculus and you spend 4 months, 1 semester on something which is not being used in the field. And that is why the industry says that they are not really employable and there's a cost to training and nobody wants to take those costs today. You agree with me, Ankur sir? Yeah.
Yeah. One
So,
more thing. Yeah, sir.
Yeah, sorry.
Continue.
As the discussion was going on, yeah, there is a gap as we see. When we do every year we do get a lot of interns coming to us. Now only an L&T or some A grade contractor they do for training part. They have a sort of charter developed for these interns. They will give an whole sort of rotation working in a planning department, contracts department, execution, form work, reinforcement. And I mean, what we try to do in that whatever 4 or 6 months the student is there with us, we sort of give him a blink or insights of whatever the facets of entire execution. Now, from college side, when we say, we just get a simple letter wherein they say, you please enroll this intern to your institute. To your project sites. From college, when they are been sending to the project site, I think some minimum 3-4 things they should be pinpointed. Yeah, you should. They definitely will give a daily thing, what you are done, what you are to do. What extra things, what we are doing here, whenever these interns coming to us, I do have a lot of them working with my project sites. So I made them give the presentation after every month. So whatever you learn in a month, please present to me. Whatever you learn in a month, please present to me. And I make a habit to talk to the professor at the college level. So what was their expectation? So that kind of efforts, but yes, L&T is been more focused organization and have value to have learning of the individuals. So that's why it is possible in L&T. But overall, as an industry, if I have to talk about, yes, there is a gap. And this gap, as I was telling, there's a lot of subject which is not known to civil engineer. A subject like window is not at all taught in any of the civil engineering books. So we don't have anything much focus on the structural engineering part. Whatever the mechanical or electrical engineer are coming out, they are very less understanding about what is an HVAC system is all about, what is a chiller is all about. So there is the gap is there. Of course, with this new education policy, which recently been announced, I hope from the schooling days, there will be an emphasis is given on the vocational
Yeah,
training
from
part.
class 6.
So that link, what we are seeing right now, the gap, what is there, probably from the schooling time, there will be, we'll be able to fill that gap. And then when students come out of the engineering, they will be more ready to the industry than what they are currently now.
Yeah. Dr. Sushil, you were saying something.
Yeah, actually for academics, I would like to say that every teacher, basically the faculty, those are teaching students, I think they should also have an industrial experience, at least for 1 year or 2 years.
Right.
So I think that Nivedita and Saurabh will put more focus on that.
Right.
Teacher must have that practical experience actually. Suppose in real estate or infrastructure, they have experience actually.
Right.
So they can explain better actually.
Yeah.
Those subjects, suppose the RCC or other subjects you are teaching, so they can tell better actually.
Yeah.
Without
Yes.
field knowledge, they can't explain this thing properly actually. I feel that I have industrial experience, so I have relied that during my teaching that in fact all faculty must have at least 1 or 2 years experience before entering in the teaching.
Correct.
Yeah. So from
Can you tell us about your experience of internship?
yeah, sure. So I think even yes, what sir has said is absolutely right, because if our teacher has some industrial experience and then he or she is teaching us, they will be telling us more of practical things which is happening. So like when you go for, like in my masters, after my first year, we were asked to go for an internship. So there you get to know a lot of thumb rules also, which are totally different from what you would have learned in the theory. Some assumptions are different. Like the basic of all these, you need to have your base thorough, which is provided by your academics, but those practical things, what is happening in terms of maybe some small thumb rules or assumptions or things like that, is different. Even when you join the company, first initial 4 to 6 months, you are put under training period where you work on live projects, interact with the people, and you get to know, yes, there is a difference between what has been taught to you and what is actually happening, but they are not totally different. The basic concept is the same. Like I would also suggest, like I'll also like to highlight this, that your educational qualification is also necessary, because like I mean the theory, academics, whatever you study, that is the basic of all these, because we have institutions also sending out their graduates to the colleges to attain their postgraduate degrees. Like for example, like Mr. Ankur Kumar should be knowing, like we have L&T sponsored candidates who are doing their masters in construction technology and management. So that requires an upskill of the employees also. That's why they're sending them back. So both of them are related. I mean, there should be some sort of some more, I don't know, some practical knowledge being transferred here, some theory being given there. I don't know. I'm just from just, and that's what I feel.
Thanks, Nivedita. I'll go to Saurabh. If given a chance, would you like to do your internship all over again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So Ankur sir is sitting here. You can request that he gives you a chance in his organization. So the rigor that you missed and the time that you missed, you will gain that, and you will gain a lot more of confidence. And like what Nivedita had said yesterday, that you must then go and do your masters. Don't go for a job. Because
Yes.
requirements are not graduates, they're masters.
Yeah, I'd really like to do that because L&T.
Make a request online here, right now, live.
Sure, so I'd really like to intern in your company for 4 months or however long that takes, because civil engineering, there's never an end for learning. So the more you learn, the more there will be there to learn. So I can get to learn more and more about it. So I'd really like to intern in your company.
Ankurji,
Definitely.
please
I
help
would
if
Most
you
like to
can.
welcome.
add one thing.
Please help if you
You're
can.
most welcome.
Thank you, sir.
So
I'd
now
like to
I'll put
add
a question.
something.
Sure.
Yeah, since I'm the representative students, I take this as a common opinion of all other students. So what used to take hours of calculating, doing the math, and like calculating shear force and bending moment and everything. Now we can solve it within minutes using softwares. So I think software's skills also is very important. Like Nivedita was saying, we should get more exposure, hands on the software as well, like 3ds Max, Revit, AutoCAD, more on AutoCAD, like that during our engineering. So
See, software is moving. People are moving out of AutoCAD, right? They're going into Revit
yeah,
and they're going into BIM,
Yes.
right? And BIM is a super software. It helps you. It's a little difficult to set up a project on it. It takes more time than you would take on AutoCAD, but you get a 3D view and you can do
Yes.
all your conflict resolutions. Otherwise, I've seen drawings done by different engineers on for the same place, and I see that AC duct is going through the beam. So at site, it becomes a huge problem. You start adjusting all heights everywhere. BIM will help you. Please do that.
So at our project site now, beam, as you can say at L&T, all the projects we are going with the beam. Now what beam helps you, as rightly said by Mr. Sunil, is we can set on, at the execution level, we have a different categories of engineers. We don't have, all postgraduates are not there. We do require definitely a diploma engineer. We do require a base civil graduate engineer, and then we do have a lot of supervisors with subcontractors, supervisors. So what beam help us, there is you can have virtual walk down, walk around through every drawing. So
Absolutely.
once you get an advantage, we have a clash-free drawings available. When you say clash-free, when when a complex commercial projects are going on, you have a lot of pipes, your ducts, your cable trays and cabling crossing through each and every level. You have to add, because earlier what used to happen at AutoCAD, you have to have virtually every individual services will make their own drawing, then it will get coordinated, and manually the levels will used to get established, and there invariably when the execution will start, somewhere or other somebody will flatter onto the levels, and then you will end up at the clashes. Now that clashes part is absolutely gone with the beam.
Yeah.
So as a student, yes, definitely, as Nivedita said, some add-on skills, the introduction about the beam, knowing about the Revit, these skills yet, apart from the AutoCAD, you should definitely possess.
Sure. Now I would continue with Ankurji on what are the career opportunities in civil engineering, because the mindset is either you are just working at the site in the project team, but then you have the design part, the planning part, the estimation part. What are the career opportunities which young engineers can look at?
Yeah, the myth what generally the people carry about the civil engineering, which of course is changing, because thanks to the digitalization. Digitalization has brought in a lot of new facades about the project execution. Earlier, 20 years back, when civil engineer passed out of the college, he will straight away walk and stand in open sun and get the concrete done. That was the only thing which was there. Now, that's not the only part right now, because there are different departments, and opportunities are available for everybody depending on their interest of it. So there is a planning department, there is a QS department, there is a billing department, there is a contracts department, and each individual can go and take the career, and the career can go as a head of the contracts, as a head of the. There is a lot of emphasis is there on the quality and the safety. A lot of people are choosing to work as a quality engineer, to work as a safety engineer, and create their career into it. Because right now, having into the going back into the quality or importance of quality and safety, have the I can say no accident or the zero accident policy is there in everywhere. People have started caring about the life of the people working at the construction site. So those are there. Apart from that, a coordination engineer is there, which will definitely will function as the middleman between the designer and the execution people to help the people at execution site to understand what is the detail in the drawing, helping. In a construction, there is a lot of coordination is going on. Then these are all the common. Then you have as an consultancy field, wherein on a consultancy part, as I was mentioning about the BIM engineer. So
Right.
those kind of careers are open for. So construction also to an extent has slowly started moving to a bit of a white collar kind of a job, which was only limited to it. But yes, the fact of the matter is some part of the year you have to work on the construction side to get your foundation strong enough to work and sort of accelerate and then get some set of skill set and improve on to become master in one of the areas of construction.
Right.
Yes, sir. You told us about the career options right now. So how is it now with the current situation of COVID-19 in civil?
So COVID-19, yes, this year it will be a bit of a challenging situation for all the organization because the bread and butter part, which the revenues of all the organizations has been hit terribly because construction is not a kind of an industry wherein people work from home and things will get. It is the actual production at site. If the production happens on the ground, it will convert into the revenue, and if the revenue is there, it will recognize into the profits. So yes, but for all the A grade contractors or for that matter has not gone ahead and then chop like a chopping of the removing the people. So all that thing which has happened in other industry, that has not fortunately happened in the construction. People are sticking with the people. Yes, it is a difficult time. But if you talk to the industry people in construction industry, in real estate or infrastructure, this is just a 6 to 9 months or 2 to 3 quarters of dilemma. Things will definitely be, so it's a positive store, future for all of you guys and for all of us. As Dr. Sunil was saying, there is a lot of focus on infrastructure. Okay, this government is working very heavily on the infrastructure part of it. There is a huge investment commitment. So as you can see, when in Mumbai kind of a city where there was a lockdown and everything, our coastal project was going on, our metro projects was going on. So all that construction was happening within, when there was a travel restriction, everything, these projects are still going on. Okay, so the focus is very much of the government to have the infrastructure built in, and if the infrastructure is there, construction is there, there is no scarcity for the job part. It is going to be there.
Right. Dr. Sushil, very quickly, because we are running out of time, and there's one question which is very interesting, which I wanted addressed. But before that, what I wanted to ask you, is it possible academically that an engineer has two majors while he's doing his BTech, like mechanical and electrical together, because multidisciplinary engineer is more useful? Or do you think he has to be master of one? Sir, you're muted. You're muted.
When students are taking admission actually in civil engineering, they have that kind of mind that they will go for a government job.
Okay.
Initially.
Right.
Even Ankur sir can also tell about everybody. Actually, most of the students they are joining, they have that kind of mind that they will go for a government job. Now government only recognize civil engineering only.
Right.
Suppose you go for a BTech in construction technology, then they will not recognize. That is almost the same degree, you can say, BTech in construction. It will be more beneficial in the construction side. But
Right.
But Government of India and all organizations only recognize BTech in civil engineering. If it is written BTech in civil engineering with infrastructure or something else, then they will reject your application.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of education is not available, that multidisciplinary education.
Right.
That is the one big reason.
Right. Final question, because we've started getting
One more
messages
thing
on.
I would also like to
Sure,
say.
sure, sir.
Actually, in India, basically, whatever I have seen in India, like for IT company and for construction company, they are treated as a smart worker, basically, and we are just a hard worker in construction. So their willing is more actually. That's why people are not keen to take civil engineering as a profession.
Yeah.
Because they are paid more.
Right.
Because they are doing something on software actually, so they are paid more actually.
Right. Right.
And the civil engineering people, they are doing a 10 to 15-hour job. One of my friend is working in Lee Buildcon in Maharashtra, Shangli. He's waking up at 7 o'clock, going at 8 o'clock, coming at 7. Then he's attending meeting till 10.
Right.
And I know some my IT company friends, they are doing for 3 to 3 hours job and they are getting more bucks and packages.
Right. So
That is a
thank
big
you.
difference actually.
I will just go to the last question, which is in the present circumstances and also looking at the future. Should one work in a corporate or should one be self-employed?
Question to me.
Yeah.
Should be an entrepreneur or should be a salaried person? That's what is the question.
That's the question.
Yeah. Even if you are if you wanted to start an entrepreneurship, it is always good to have some initial experience of getting into exposed to the working under some of the good reputed firm. What it had, I have a couple of people who has worked with us and then they have started their own venture out. Okay.
Right.
What does it help you? Whatever the professionalism,
Correct.
what an industry need to have, whatever the basic knowledge, what the systems you have to establish. If civil engineering is not a field wherein you can go out and start your own business, a lot of integrities and nitty-gritties are there. You have to have a system to start with. There is a lot of bylaws are there for starting of any of the construction activity, and then a lot of billing system is there. There's a planning which plays an important role for anything. So as an entrepreneur fresh out from the college, if you start your own venture and if you don't have a backup of your family owned business or something, it is really difficult. So my advice to the youngsters or millennials, yes, if you wanted to do an entrepreneurship, please do that. Not at all. It's a good thing to do. But yes, spend some 3-4 years in the industry, understand the industry, how in execution happens, how and different departmental or the facades of execution is being taken care. Please understand that, and then definitely start your own enterprise. It's most it's a good thing to have. India needs a lot of entrepreneurial background people to move our GDP and all.
Right. And even while you're working in a company, you should work with that same feeling as that of an entrepreneur, that this is your company. You've got to make money for your company.
Yes.
You can't be passing time there. Only then you will be successful in your job also, and you will be successful as an entrepreneur also.
Correct.
Right. I would like to thank everybody right now for the participation. I'm opening the chat, so there are questions, and the questions I'll put to the panel again. I'm just opening the chats. Yeah, so there is a question which is, how much of automation and technology I think the question should be how automation and technology has redefined the new world of civil construction. I think we had covered it.
Yes.
In some way. So we'll not answer
No,
that.
I just want to add one point into it. Now, when you talk about automation or robotics, now you have an plaster making robots, you have a painting robot. Now we are trying to utilize a couple of them in our mass housing project, wherein a painting robot is there. Okay,
Mm.
it gives a massive productivity in terms of output. In terms of automation, I said a lot of focus is going on the modular construction. When you say modular construction, you have as you have a segmental infrastructure project where bridges, every part of or segment of the bridge is getting fabricated or precast at the yard. It is just shifted to the place and get it connected. So similar concept is coming to the building construction as well. You have a modular MEP, wherein MEP all the whatever the fittings are there, they will be casted at the yard and then it will just quickly be. So this kind of automation and robotics is coming. 3D printing is one of the big area which is going on right now. It is happening.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Sushil, there's a question
Yeah.
which I think you would be in a better position to answer is, can professionals join institution for few weeks to teach? How can industry incentivize them and motivate more people to do so? So you have visiting professors.
Yeah, you are talking about the academicians joining industry, or
Industry coming to
yeah, it will be more beneficial to the students actually, because we have already talked about that if a person have industrial experience, then he can teach more regarding. So that's why in earlier I also said that every teacher should have a industrial experience actually.
right.
And suppose a person with 10 to 15 or 20 years experience of industry, he comes into the academia, then it will be more beneficial to the students. Definitely, they must be welcomed.
Right. Saurabh, do you think what Professor Sushil is saying is going to benefit young students like you?
Yeah, I agree with him, so it does benefit.
And Nivedita, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. That's a very good, and that's been happening in quite, I mean, that's been happening also, but most importance should be, the students should also know the importance of it more. That's when they will also concentrate more on these talks, because usually students tend to, when, if at all in a college, like some seminars or something is happening, most of the students do not attend it for some reason. So it's also their personal interest. You need to know the importance of these, how much, that's what I said, you never know how big the industry is, what all of the opportunities are till you enter the industry. So as a student, maybe we might not take it that easily, but that is to be done. More importance is to be given to those.
One more thing actually, suppose a person coming from a 10 to 20 or 25 years in industrial experience, suppose he joining teaching as a full-time job, then we are finding that those people are doing better project execution work with their students. They are guiding better than the academia people. I have find that I have that experience in my career that they are doing better. Suppose Ankur sir is comes after 10 years, suppose in teaching, then he will guide better the project work basically. Then final year we have a project for all students in BTech final year. Then they can guide better. Suppose Nivedita joins after 10 years teaching, then it will be definitely he will be more better compared to the academia people. Those are completely from academics from the beginning.
Right.
So there will be a
Also,
combination of these people actually. It is
Yes,
yeah,
Saurabh.
just adding on to like what Dr. Sushil Kumar has said, but then there's one thing, like when these, maybe we might have a lot of experience, but if you come to teaching, again, the qualifications needed are different. Like you might
Yeah,
need a PhD, so that's a
yeah, yeah,
different picture of it. So this
yeah,
experience
yeah,
doesn't count for some reason in teaching.
yeah, yeah. Definitely, you are right.
Yeah.
uh, Nivedita,
Yeah.
I would like to put a question to you. How can we address the skill gaps which are there between what industry wants and what the academics is giving? And this is your first job, it's the first year. You would have felt some shortcomings in your background.
Yeah, so some field exposure is what is basically needed, given just the basics of what are happening, the theory based. During the college life itself, go for more, I don't know, the academics is not designed in such a way. We are given more importance to theory subjects and then we just by heart them, and then so more field experience need to be given. The system, I think, some sort of more importance should be given to practical works, which helps the students and the industry, both of them get benefited. When students, you get more trained students, and you can gain other skills like as I said, learning coding languages or acquiring other short-term certificate courses, things like that. Attending seminars and webinars, those are very important. You never know, because you get a lot of people in the industry. You get contacts of lot of people. That's what I want to say to students. Like, make good connections with them. You will know how big the industry is only then. Attend these seminars and webinars, and wherever you get to know, or through LinkedIn is a good platform wherein you can have a good connect with the people in the industry. Start
Right.
talking to people, so
Right.
they will also get to know that yeah, there are students waiting for these jobs and things like that. So
Right. Thank you.
yeah.
Dr. Sushil, question for you. The coursework that we have for BTech students, does it have subjects like good safety practices and things like that?
Yeah, we are lacking in that part. You are talking about the safety. Actually, we actually in India we don't have, even the institutions don't have that much of safety. Even in the residential buildings, multi-story building,
Right.
we have those features. But we are not following that.
Right.
For the namesake, we are doing that actually.
Right.
So when there is a fire breaks out in the buildings, you are showing. You have seen that there is a lot of problem is created everywhere in India. You can see. So
Right.
that is lacking. Definitely, this is lacking
Right.
in India.
Ankurji, a question for you, which is not part of what is coming in, but it just occurred to me. So I thought I will ask you, when you hire somebody, right? I'm talking about the skilled engineers, management people, and above. What are the traits that you look for in the candidate? What are the traits?
So basically at L&T level, yes, there is a lot of emphasis is given on the academic part. Means academic, when I say his 10th or 12th mark, his throughout engineering, what is his performance? There is a KT or so that's the sort of one level. So that's important, because we do believe, yes, if a person is good in his academics, he will have his basic skills of mathematics or quantification and the subject part of it. Yeah, that's the one thing. Secondly, whenever we induct a graduate engineer training, there is a 1 year full-fledged program is there for any graduate or postgraduate for a 6 month of time, and they will have to follow that entire program wherein they will be put into the different departments. They will be exposed to different working, and after completion of their 1 year in the company, then they will be placed to maybe in the execution, planning, or contracts, depending on their discussion with their HR and the project head level person. So at L&T, yes, the focus is given on the graduates learning part. So they will definitely go for the 8 to 10 months of for the year one rotation on the execution part of it. About the skill set, when the interview at personal level happening, definitely apart from accreditation, there is a group discussion there. How the person is vocal enough, will he be able to have his viewpoint, what is his thought process. Focus is there on the summer internship part. That was basically when I have also gone to the interviews. So basically, for a graduate engineer, what you will ask? You will just ask his marks and how and communication can go on further. Communication can go on further. You will ask him about what you have done in summer internship training. And when you will start explaining his summer internship, then we'll try to understand, was he the serious about his summer internship training. We'll ask a couple of questions. So if he says, suppose I have saw the plastering work going on, so we'll ask what is the grade of the plaster mix, what you use in so that kind of question. So if he is able to explain, so what is the quality test you did for that work. So these are the basic questions. So this will differentiate between couple of the students who have we have been interviewed. So the focus should be there, or seriously should be there from the student on the summer internship part, because that is the key for you to further start negotiating, build on your and then there is a point where they can prove on whatever the their projects what they have done in the institute part.
The time is over now. I would like to thank everybody for this beautiful session. There are no more questions which have come. And Saurabha, you've heard from the horse's mouth what is required. So don't feel disheartened. Be very cheerful, be very positive about the future. And you have Nivedita there. She's your senior, she'll guide you through. Plus you have Ankurji, who's will probably try and give you a internship. So thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Sonal sir, for taking us through this session so seamlessly and putting out the questions relevantly for every civil engineer to understand. Not just civil engineer, we all had so many things. As spectators, we had so many things to take away from this session, despite not being from the field, from the internship point of view, from the education point of view. So all of you provided a lot of insight. Thank you so much for joining us. So looking forward to more interactions like this. So it was great having all of you today on YCC today. Thank you so much.
Thank